all. So we are talking about the PLSQL blocks currently, and we talked about we understood how to write down the PLSQL block by using more than one table. So on the same lines, this tutorial is based, and here it would be told to you all that how to understand the problem statement, because it may have more than one if. It may have the iterative controls like say a while loop or for loop or loop and loop, because they are the iterative controls used in PLSQL, or there can be the nested if. Okay, so how to write down the PLSQL block using a single table as well as the multi-table. So let's start. Okay, I hope you can understand this. Now there is a problem statement: write a PLSQL block to accept account ID. Specified date is nothing but we can say the operation date of the account. Okay, because there are chances that the account has been opened say 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Okay, but the operation date is changing. So the person or the customer is going to the bank or maybe doing online, okay, from time to time. Okay, so there can be the two types of dates. Okay, one is the account opening date, other would be the operation date. Then transaction amount. So there is a possibility that he can or she can the credit or debit account amount. Okay, so that amount which has been debited or credited can be the transaction amount, and then the account type from the user, and we can say instead of account type we can talk about this as the transaction type, because the transaction can be the debit or credit. Okay, account type, obviously this transaction type is credit or debit, and we are supposed to use the table accounts, fine, and then it has got account ID, account opening date and balance. Now there are three more things have been given if the days difference between two dates, that is account operational date and account opening date and operational date is within 180 days, and transaction type is credit, that is transaction type. Okay, then add the transaction amount because it is credit, so it is always added. Else if account type is debit, then subtract the amount, but see to it that balance should be greater than, already the balance which is there in the account should be greater than the transaction amount to credit or debit, otherwise it would go in minus, and obviously such type of transaction will not be allowed. Otherwise, if number of days are greater than equal to 180, then there is an exception in invalid operation, because within 180 days the account has to be touched, the account has to be operated. That is the condition which has been given over here. Okay, and when no such account ID is present, then there is an exception, no data found. So we have done the exceptions, and finally update the updated balance. So that is the problem statement, and you can see here this specific date, that is the operational date, has been taken from the user. It is taken in the single quote. Okay, so while giving the value on the SQL prompt, you don't have to give again the quotes, otherwise they would be double quotes and Oracle SQL would give you an error. I want to take the account ID, I want to take the transaction type from the user. It would be checked with respect to the table, whatever the values have been entered. I would show you the table in a short while. So the total would be the total balance calculated after credit or debit, we can say, and that is the transaction amount, and that is nothing but it can be credited or debited. And there are other columns too, and finally we can see here, or other memory variables too, and we can see here the exceptions which have been given over here. They are the various exceptions which have been used. Okay, now you can see here select current balance comma opening date into tbal comma operation date. They are my memory variables. Okay, and they are the columns from the table. From accounts, where account ID equal to account ID, and this account ID has been taken from the user already. So account ID, obviously it would be unique and the primary key. If suppose you have not given it as a primary key, fine, but don't enter the data which is repeated. Please keep it in mind. So select absolute of round off, because I want the days to be calculated. Okay, so months between would find out the number of months, and then it would be rounded. Okay, so into final, and then if this final is less than equal to 180 and the transaction type is credit, okay, then add, because it is credited, so it is plus. So accordingly update the account, and this it would be updated. Fine. So you can see here transaction amount would be updated in the table. Else if transaction type is debit, okay, but there is one more condition. Can you see over here? You can see there is one more condition. Though it is debit, or if it is debit, the balance should be greater than the transaction amount, because balance should not be less than the transaction amount, otherwise it would be the negative value. So there are two conditions, and so that's why here if inside else if has been given, or we can say it's a nested if. Okay, so total equal to T balance minus T amount. So in this manner, update the account and transaction type and transaction amount with respect to that account ID which has been taken from the user. Fine. And else insufficient balance, or if that particular account is not credit or debit, if it is not correctly given, credit debit not given and something else is given, FD, by mistake the person is giving FD or RD or current, whatever, okay, he might make a mistake, then that time invalid operation. If they are not less than the number of days, those number of days are not less than equal to 180 and greater than 180, then raise your account is locked, because it was not touched for 180 days, and then that's the rule of this PLSQL block, that it will be just say that this particular account is locked. Okay, and there are the various exceptions which have been given. Fine. So I will show you how it has been executed. Just you can see here, they were my records. Account ID is 1234. Cust number I added later, so please ignore this cust number at this moment. Okay, so account ID is 1234. Account payee name is, say, some name. Account is what type of account, so RD or something like that. Account date, okay, initial date is 13 June 05, and the current balance is 34,000, and updated balances has not been printed yet. Okay, so this is the thing, and later on we can see the transaction type has been, you can see the transaction type has credit which has been given. Fine. And transaction amount is 3,000 which has been updated. Fine. So we would try to execute it now. You can see here it is pasted. I have pressed enter, but as my screen is full, it's not showing without. So I'm executing it. It is asking me for the value, so I would enter, say, SCP. Please keep it in mind, the date has to be entered, the month, MON has to be entered, the 3 letters, and I would say 2005. Fine. And then account ID is 1235. I suppose it's correct. Okay, and transaction time is type is debit. Please understand, I have given here debit and credit as small case letter. I have to give the condition whether it is C for credit or D for debit, something like that. If both the cases you want to go for it, then either of the case you want to go for it, but both have to be given, then you have to check whether it is both the cases have been given properly or not. Fine. And it has been given as 6,000, and you can see the table name as accounts, and you can see here 6,000. Fine. And the value has been debited, but we can't see the updated balance in the table. You would see the updated balance updated in the later block. I'll just show you that now. Here what I've done is I've added one more table, customer, because what is the relationship over here? When we talk about the relationship, a customer may have many accounts in the bank, so it would be something like this. I would have a customer. Fine. And I would have the accounts, so it's something like this, and a customer may have we can say the many accounts. Okay, and here we are talking about one to many relationship. Fine. And it has, he has or she has. Okay, so when I talk about this, it would have its own primary key. Fine. It would also have its own primary key. But whenever we talk about the foreign key, on the M side, we see the foreign key. Okay, so this accounts table will have the customer number also as foreign key and account number as primary key. Fine. So I suppose it's easy to understand. So now you can see here the same is there, but just I made the changes here. Select current balance, comma opening date, comma cust dot customer number equal, comma cust name, because I want to show which customer number we are talking about. Into tbal, comma operation date, comma m customer number, comma m cust name from accounts, comma cust, where account id equal to account id, okay, which has been taken. Please understand they are two different. One has underscore, one doesn't have. Okay, one is the memory variable and one is the column. And cust dot customer number equal to accounts dot customer number. Please keep it in mind. And customer number is going as foreign key over here, so here the value can be repeated, but here the value has to be unique. Okay, rest of things are same, they have not been changed. Fine. And I have added here the updated balance. Can you see that, which I told you that updated balance would be seen in the later part of the PLSQL block. So updated balance is one of the column where I want to upload or update that is particular total. Okay, and I want to print the customer's name too, so I'm giving here mcust name and balance updated after credit or balance updated after debit. Fine. And unless I don't give this, okay, it won't be possible to execute it flawless, okay, unless we give this particular type of query. So this is joins, they are joins, we can make use of the subquery also. Fine. So this customer name would be shown, so I would like to execute it, or I will show you the same PLSQL block which I have executed. You can see here the same PLSQL block. M cust name has been shown, and then customer's name has been shown over here, and the updated balance would also be updated in the table. Fine. So you can see, okay, so the value has been entered for the specific date, because I want to, specific date is nothing but the date of operation, and one is the date of opening date and operation date are two different dates. Opening date means when the account was opened, created, and operation date is when last time the account was used. Okay, so 6 September 2005, that is specific date I have given as a variable. The account ID is 1234 and T type is debit and 3000. So we can see here customers MV balance updated after debit. Okay, so after executing it, I would like to show you. Select star. I would be getting the changes into accounts table. Fine. And can you see here? Oh my god. 1 2 3 4. Yeah. So it was 1 2 3 4 and it has been updated. Again, I would try to execute the same. Just a minute. I would paste here. You can see it has been executed over here. Okay, the date has been given as 7 October 2005, and you can see over here that it has been 7,000 and the value is 82,000. Fine. So in this manner you can execute the PLSQL block with the multi-table. Fine. And the join or the subquery has to be given. So I hope it must be easy for you. Thank you. Stay tuned.